Hey everyone, thanks for taking the time to watch my video. I can't believe we're almost done with the semester. I remember on the first day of class we were asked, what is your teacher identity? I started to think and I thought, I didn't have one yet. I had such limited experience that how could I possibly have my own identity? But I realized that my teacher identity didn't come from being a teacher, but instead it came from being a student. This is why I chose a photo of Yoda as my first visual aid. Yoda says, "Truly wonderful the mind of a child is." And he says this because despite all he's seen, he doesn't exclude the thoughts and opinions of others, no matter their size or age, and that teachers can still learn from their students. My teacher identity, I hope, is everything I wanted from my teachers. I try to be a good communicator and listener. Students want a teacher that can give advice and also take advice. I try to be fun and engaging. Students want a teacher who makes the time go by fast because they like being there. This skill, engagement, is what I ended up choosing for my professional goal. To represent this on my visual aid, I chose a wide-eyed baby. Babies are interested in everything you do, always watching with big googly eyes, and this is how I want my students to react when I'm teaching. The student I chose to focus my goal on was one that would never turn anything in, would never listen to anything my CT was saying, and would often distract others. After I got to know him, I realized he was just bored and didn't like the assignments he was being given. When I learned what his interests were, it was cars, his friends, and food, I gave him ideas on how he could incorporate those things into his work, and it took time, but eventually he started participating and turning things in. When I taught my first lesson, I had the opportunity to introduce the class to photo critiques. I thought I was going to have to pull teeth or draw popsicle sticks with their names on it to get students to participate. But to my surprise, they all chimed in with great feedback, including the student I was focusing on. You could tell which photos intrigued him more, which is why for this topic, I chose a mid-1960s truck to represent. This type of truck was featured in a lot of the students' photos, and every single photo that had it, my student gave feedback. I was really proud of him because he came out of his shell and became interested in what we were doing as a class. Unfortunately, due to the global pandemic, we were unable to do our second lesson. But I was hoping to really improve my engagement skills by introducing activities that got students up and moving around. It became clear to me that they were very used to the typical PowerPoint lecture and that they needed something different. I am going to remember this and take it with me into student teaching. I want to find innovative ways to teach students so that they want to participate and learn. The main thing my goal taught me is that knowing your students is one of the most important aspects to good teaching, and also incorporating what you know into your agenda. Students will only listen to you if they are engaged and interested in what you have to say. When I am student teaching, I want to come up with projects that allow students to focus on and do what they want to do while still meeting the standards. To represent this, I chose a merry-go-round. My CT had a project where students had to choose a career and create a plate set themed for that career. One of my students chose a carnival worker and just fell in love with the project because she loved going to the fair during the summer. She had so many crazy ideas, and one of them was to create a plate that could sit on top of a ceramic merry-go-round. Now, I don't know if you all know how hard it is to sculpt something like that, but it is extremely hard. But the student wanted a challenge and wanted it because she was doing it on something she loved. Another big thing I gained from this semester is that lesson plans are not evil. I used to dread them, but I learned that if you take the time to make a good developed lesson plan, the lesson basically teaches itself. It's almost like you have flashcards for the speech you're about to give. I plan to save every lesson plan I write and reuse them later in my career as they apply. When I started my practicum, I always felt in the way. I felt like I didn't really belong in the classroom, like I was just an annoying presence, always watching over the students. I felt like I was super awkward when I spoke in front of others. I learned that this was all in my head. When I was in the way, that's when the students started asking me for help and for my opinion on their next projects. When I talked to the class, I had confidence. I learned that I am a good teacher. I am so excited to student teach and keep on developing my education skills. I hope I can inspire at least one student to love art as much as I do. My final photo that I chose to represent my conclusion is a piece of my artwork. I took my first art class in high school and haven't stopped taking them since. Teaching the basics of art gives students the skills they need to build a lifelong talent, passion, or even pastime for when they're bored. My art class has made a difference in my life, and my art teacher is the reason I am a teacher. Thanks for listening and being a part of my journey.